The following program, Norml Show Live, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate for the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate or encourage any illegal activity and advise all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws by visiting norml.org, Norml.org. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers of Norml Show Live are their own and do not necessarily reflect the philosophy and policies of Norml. Listener discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws presents Norml Show Live, Marijuana Nation. Now, here's your host, Norml's Outreach Coordinator, Radical Russ Belville.
Good afternoon, tokers and tokettes, and welcome. It is Thursday, January 5th, 2012, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Welcome to this show. We are so glad to be putting on for you here, free at live.norml.org. We got all sorts of fun and information coming to you today. We start, of course, after our first break with the hemp headlines. Let us introduce and bring in from the virtual studio the beautiful Cannabis Carrie.
Hello, Russ. Hi, everyone.
Hello. We've also got over here in the Pirates Cove of the inimitable Ganja John.
Hey, Russ, how's it going, buddy?
It's going really good. We had a good night last night recording those shows.
Yeah, we did.
Check that out.
I passed out when I got home.
I'll bet you did. Check it out later tonight. We've got a new episode of the Ganja John Show, so check that out tonight, 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Also over here in the co-host chair, we got Wiz Kaliko hanging out with the studio.
Aloha, everybody. Oh, thank you. Glad to be back.
Glad to have you here. Hey, let's talk about the hemp headlines. What do we got in the news coming up today, Carrie?
Well, today, of course, big news. A lawsuit in Arizona is getting dismissed. We're going to talk about that. We're going to go to the town of Boulder. A lot of interesting things going on there. They had an emergency meeting this week at 11 p.m. at night and passed some stuff. We're going to tell you all about that. We're going to go to Florida, where a story about autism and marijuana. I don't know how I feel about this story, but definitely a great story for discussion, so you can look forward to that on the Hemp Headlines today.
All right. Also coming up on today's show, we've got your Groovin' Thursday music brought to you by John Doe Radio, but I haven't set up the Dropbox. I've got things all in flux still, so we're going to turn to Ganja John for today's Groovin' Thursday tune. Who do you got on tap today?
I don't know.
Oh, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go, huh?
We will.
All right. We'll get some great hip hop at 20 after the hour for you to celebrate the 420 breakout here on the Pacific Coast. Also, it's time for the Southern California scene on the first and third Thursdays. We visit with Terry Joyce. You remember her from NBC's Last Comic Standing Season 1. Dejay Kuti from the Patients Advocacy Network will be joining her, and they'll be talking about the recent federal crackdown on medical marijuana in the Golden State. And then at the end of the show, I got time for a little bit of radical ranting. You know, this is going to be fun because for a while I've been ranting on people on our side, right? And it's time for me to set my sights on the real enemy out there, the prohibitionists. There's a new website out there called thoughtful-living.org with a whole bunch of silliness on it that's just screaming for some debunking. So we're going to take care of that at the end of the show. And then right after that, Toker Talk Radio, our live hour where you can call in at 971-533-7111. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Norml Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Weedmaps.com. I'm Radical Russ from Norml. In my job as outreach coordinator, I travel every month, and when I'm on the road, I need a fast, accurate way to find the medical marijuana dispensaries in the area. So I turn to Weedmaps.com. Weedmaps.com has the best dispensary locator online or on your mobile device. Search by zip code or let Weedmaps find you, and in seconds you'll have the addresses, phone numbers, and customer service reviews for the medical marijuana dispensaries in the local area. Weedmaps.com also has a section devoted to helping you find a doctor who understands and recommends medical marijuana under your state's law. You can even check prices on the Medical Marijuana Stock Exchange. Coming soon, you'll even be able to find the listings of Norml attorneys and chapters, local head shops and grow shops, and the best weed-friendly businesses. Weedmaps.com has the information you need to be an informed cannabis consumer. Visit Weedmaps.com today, a proud sponsor of the Norml Network.
Inhaling deeply of the sacred smoke.
Norml Show Live. We're as much like Cheech and Chong as ordinary Americans are like the Three Stooges. Hey, Mo! Here, Mo!
I'm a doctor.
I'm a lawyer.
I'm a journalist.
I'm a student.
I'm a teacher.
I'm a representative.
I have cancer.
The outdated laws of prohibition are more dangerous than the plant itself.
I lost my scholarship.
I was fired.
20 million arrests since 1965. This is getting ridiculous.
Our prisons are overcrowded with non-violent offenders.
We have the opportunity to change.
This is costing our country billions of dollars.
Making my family and I fight in a courtroom is difficult enough when I'm already fighting through chemotherapy.
There's no reason to be scared by tradition anymore.
We can stop this. We can stop this.
We are the American people.
We can stop this.
And you have our support.
We're old,
young,
straight,
gay.
We're every race and nationality.
And we're not going to give up.
You can tax it.
You can regulate it.
Apply age restrictions.
You can create millions of new jobs.
We can save our economy.
President Obama?
It's time for legalization.
Legalization.
Yes.
We
can. That's the Dirtball from Suburban Noise Records, Cottonmouth Kings. This is Norml Show Live. Keep it right here, yeah.
Medical marijuana, industrial hemp, consumer cannabis. It's time for this week's Norml News with Cannabis Carrie.
In some breaking news, a federal judge today threw out Arizona Governor Jan Brewer's case against her own state's medical marijuana law, a law that was approved by the voters. Governor Brewer filed the complaint back in May to seek a judgment from the feds on whether they would prosecute state employees with drug crimes for administering the state's new medical marijuana program. Brewer and State Attorney General Tom Horne says they were reacting to a letter from the former Arizona U.S. Attorney who made the suggestion. Yesterday, U.S. District Attorney Judge Susan Bolton dismissed the complaint, but did so without prejudice, a legal term that wouldn't bar the plaintiffs from filing a case on the same matter in the future. Her ruling says that enforcement actions by federal officials do not pose a genuine threat to state officials implementing the law. She said that Brewer and Horne were unable to show any action against any state employees, either imminent or threatened. The ruling also points out that they couldn't find any legal precedent to show that any state officials in other states have been prosecuted or threatened by participating in their own state's medical marijuana laws. The finding ultimately ruled that they could not find any credible threat or a specific warning about initiating criminal proceedings against state employees enforcing the medical marijuana law. The U.S. Attorney letter was also addressed in the ruling since Governor Brewer and Attorney General Horne were using it as evidence in their case. The judge says that even if the letters from U.S. attorneys in Arizona or any other state was interpreted as a threat or warning, that threat was too generalized and not sufficient to merit a ruling about state law. A spokesman for Governor Brewer reacted to the ruling, saying that it was unfortunate that the federal court just told them they would have to wait for a state employee to be prosecuted before the state's lawsuit could be heard in court.
Oh, how ridiculous is this? Of course, this entire story, this entire court case is cooked up by Governor Brewer because she simply doesn't want to implement the will of the people with Prop 203. That's all this has ever been about. The U.S. Attorney's letters, that's just the convenient excuse she's hanging her hat on. They've always been saying, oh, we don't want to do this dispensary thing because state employees might get busted for running drugs, when we can see that in the states that have already regulated this, I mean, like Colorado's regulated this to the hilt, and there's other states that are doing likewise. New Mexico's got their regulated dispensary system, yet there's never been any prosecutions from the feds there. I'm glad the judge finally saw it that way and dismissed this silly, frivolous lawsuit from the Arizona governor, which, it should be noted, it's interesting how the Arizona governor reacts to this whole states' rights versus federal interference issue, right? When her state, it uses its state's sovereignty to pass a medical marijuana law. Oh, she's not all for states' rights then. We got to bring the feds in. We got to enforce federal law here. Federal law, what the feds want to do is what we got to do. But when it comes to getting illegally immigrated Mexicans out of Arizona, No. Then the state's right is the one that we have to impose here. The state is right on that issue, and then the feds are wrong with their whole immigration thing, right? She can't keep her lawsuit straight as to whether she's pro-states' rights or anti-states' rights. Arizona Governor Jan Brewer, it's time to just obey the will of the people and implement this medical marijuana program before many more people have to suffer.
The city of Boulder, Colorado had a city council meeting on Tuesday night and in an unexpected move approved a temporary ban on new dispensaries and growing operations at 11 p.m. The move came after a request by City Attorney Tom Carr. The ban is immediate and will be in effect until at least February 8th. The City Council is scheduled to hold a public hearing on February 7th and may decide to impose an even longer moratorium. Medical marijuana businesses in Colorado have had the blessing of the state in the form of a medical marijuana selling permit, state licenses since last summer. But in Colorado, townships and municipalities also have the right to outright ban such businesses. The city of Boulder has embraced the medical marijuana industry, but according to City Attorney Carr, the 37 different cultivation facilities, the 32 dispensaries in town, along with the 6 marijuana-infused product manufacturing sites, he wants to wait till the city can assess when the community's needs are being met. As the city attorney looking out for the benefits of the city of Boulder, he would also like to address the concern that growing operations and product manufacturing businesses are really just shipping their products to neighboring towns for them to collect the tax dollars. The move comes at a time when neighboring Fort Collins is closing all of their existing marijuana businesses and growers and manufacturers and are eyeing places to relocate. Fort Collins, along with some smaller communities, have passed a state-approved ban on marijuana businesses. The medical marijuana businesses in Fort Collins have just until February 14th to shut their doors. Carr admitted that it was important not to give notice about calling for the moratorium so that would-be medical marijuana business owners didn't have time to apply for last-minute applications. There was a recent burst of 12 applications turned in, and all of those will be allowed to continue through the processing process. Business owners said that they missed the opportunity to consider Boulder. They will have a much tougher time looking to expand or relocate. But the current dispensaries in town, they may be giving a sigh of relief considering the bloom of new competition that was about to descend on their doorsteps. Now, the move also allows a court case involving a Boulder dispensary owner to play out. In that case, the city is trying to close a dispensary and a related growing facility under compliance issues and denying city inspectors inside the businesses. The owner is suing the city, saying that he was treated unfairly. That owner, Jack Pease, thinks the moratorium is the city overreacting to his case. Now, of course, all these rules could change again. The state will have at least one and most likely 2 legalization ballot measures to vote on later this year.
All right. It's 2012. It's time that we start passing some of those legalization measures. Absolutely. And as far as this this move by Boulder, how sneaky is this? How underhanded is this? I mean, the quote there, it was important not to give prior notice about the emergency moratorium so that would-be dispensary owners didn't have time to submit last-minute applications. Here we have elected officials conspiring, acting to thwart the process of giving that 90 days notice to people, actively trying to stifle this industry. That's what it's always all about here. That's why it's so important in 2012 that we break through with legalization in at least one state to get past this idea that we need to separate the healthy from the sick, to figure out who's the people we're going to lock up in a cage and who are the ones we're going to allow to engage in this wonderful business that is marijuana in this country. Let's turn the economic engine on. Legalize the cannabis for all its users. You'll get 10 times the economy, 10 times the amount of taxes. You'll get jobs for people. We'll have a real growth industry, if you'll pardon the pun, right here in America.
This next story will probably get us all discussing it. A Florida man has been arrested for child abuse relating to giving his 2 young autistic children synthetic marijuana. The man had taped the incident and posted it on his Facebook page. Officials, however, were not alerted until a physical argument between the man and his father resulted in his father going to the police. Scott Crowley said that he gave his children the synthetic marijuana to try and prove that it was a treatment for their autism. He told reporters from his jail cell that he didn't plan on doing it all the time, that he was only doing it this one time to raise awareness about autism and medical marijuana. Investigators say he gave one of his children a substance he claimed was medical marijuana, but according to Crowley's father, he had forced his 10-year-old son and his 7-year-old daughter to smoke out of a vial. Testing showed that it was high-grade diesel potpourri, with a label warning on it that it was not for human consumption. Now, that warning label is on all K2 Spice or other synthetic marijuana products that are on the market, either legal or illegal. The video of Scott Crowley giving his children what they believed to be synthetic marijuana has been taken down, but the police reports say it showed Crowley forcing the children to take a hit off of a pipe. Crowley's Facebook page talks extensively about wanting marijuana to be a legal treatment for the disease and says he wishes that it will also raise awareness about autistic. He says that he is also autistic, schizophrenic, and on medication. Scott Crowley is currently in jail, being held on a $127,000 bond. He has been charged with 2 counts of aggravated child abuse and battery on a person over 65. The children have been placed in the care of their grandparents by the Department of Children and Families, who are also investigating the incident.
Oh, Mr. Crowley. All right, look, we've done stories on the use of medical marijuana for children with autism with Miko Hester Perez and others. A Different View interviewed some others too. But in every situation where we've talked about this, it's been through an edible form or a tincture form. It's not getting your kids to smoke. So if you're listening to the sound of my voice at this point, pay attention to this next tip. Don't film your kids smoking anything and put it on Facebook or YouTube or any of these social media sites. The act of smoking is harmful. It doesn't matter what you're smoking, whether it's real cannabis, K2, tobacco, a burning pile of leaves, a campfire, something you put on the stove that's burning. It doesn't matter. The act of burning hydrocarbons here causes these carcinogenic things, these particles, to get into your lungs. Now, we know with cannabis there's an anti-tumoral effect from THC, but nonetheless, smoking of any kind, and especially when you got a child smoking, is the worst possible public relations we could ever have. Now, on to Mr. Crowley and this idea that K2 for autism. It's unfortunate because, it sounds as if the man has some mental health issues as it is. But what's really unfortunate here is the prohibition that would force someone to hear about maybe Miko or one of their other people we've interviewed using medical marijuana for autism and desperately wanting to help their child, but yet unable to access marijuana because of its illegality. And then the prohibition that leads entrepreneurs to create K2 and Spice and these other things that are untested and unsafe, using synthetic cannabinoids sprayed on God knows what. Always, whenever we get to these stories, it's the prohibition that's at the root of this. The prohibition that is the problem. I sure hope those kids are okay. I hope this man can get some mental health counseling or help that he needs. But again, just a terrible story for us to have to report here on Norml Show Live.
And one last story we can fit in today. A 67-year-old grandmother from Collinsville, Pennsylvania was charged with possession and manufacturing of a controlled substance last year after she says a bearded stranger wearing a knit hat gave her some seeds. She contends that she had no idea that the seeds would grow marijuana. Alberta Kelly has no police or criminal record. Charges were filed against the woman last January after police officers observed 7 4-foot-tall marijuana plants in her backyard. The police just happened to be there serving a warrant on a family member. The officer on the scene said that when he asked Miss Kelly what the plants were, she stated she did not know what they were. Officer Wesley Wilson did write up in the criminal complaint at the time that she did state at the scene that a man that she didn't know gave her the seeds and told her to plant them. Luckily for Kelly, a Fayette County jury found her not guilty this week and her charges were tossed. The toboggan-hatted bearded Johnny Weed Seeds identity remains unknown.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, look, folks, I want to give you a little note, especially to our elderly viewers out there. If this man gives you seeds and tells you to plant them, they may not be begonias. They may not be tulips.
Maybe skunk.
Oh, well, I'm glad that the charges were dropped against this lady, but this is a good learning moment for us all. When you get the opportunity to serve on jury duty, take it. I know people are like, oh, I don't want to do jury duty. What a pain in the ass. No, take jury duty. And remember, jurors cannot be punished for their verdicts. You can declare someone not guilty of a marijuana crime, even if they've got videotaped evidence and the guy's got sticky skunk bud on his fingers. You can vote not guilty. You can hang that jury. You can see to it that another cannabis consumer is not run through the grist of the drug war mill. So do your part and learn about your rights. Go to FIJA.org. That's the Fully Informed Jury Association, and learn about jury nullification. It's a time-honored tradition in American jurisprudence. It goes back even to before that, and it's the idea that the jurors, the jury of the peers, is the ultimate arbiter of justice in this country, the ultimate decider of whether or not our laws, as they are applied, are actually doing something that is appropriate to the crime. Make this part of your lesson. Understand this. Take it to everyone you know. FIJA.org.
Well, I think it's time for a break, Russ. What do you think?
I think that music means it's time for a break. It's 4:20 in the Pacific Time Zone. Light up with us. We'll be back right after this.
It's 20 after the hour, and we have to take a short break, if you know what I mean. Please support these sponsors who support Norml Show Live.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would tell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Alternative Medical Choices offers healthcare the way it should be. Easy to access, patient-centered, team-based, and quality-focused. We offer a variety of natural, affordable healthcare treatment options like primary care, group acupuncture, massage, and assistance with OMP registration. As a patient, you will have a team of experts working with you to make you the best you can be. Call Alternative Medical Choices at 503-288-5579 or check us out on the web at altmedchoices.com.
Illinois Nazis. I hate Illinois Nazis.
USVI Norml go broke down barrier. Herb is medicine to broke down barrier. Boost the economy and broke down barrier. It's helping other states. Broke down barrier. Cannabis for legalized to broke down barrier. Join and speak your voice. Broke down barrier. We gonna change the law. Broke down barrier. We got to educate. Broke down barrier. Yeah, this is Nayora, bigging up USVI Norml, working to legalize cannabis, for the whole of the Virgin Islands.
USVI Norml is a non-profit organization working to legalize cannabis for the use by the industries and responsible adults. Do your part. Join USVI Norml. Register to vote. Pass the word. Voice your opinion. You can change the law. Contact us for more information at 340-244-9179. You can also visit our website at www.usvinorml.org.
It's time for your daily Toker Tunes, the best in 420 friendly music from all genres that uplifts, entertains, and informs the public. Today we bring you tunes for Groovin' Thursday. Our salute to all the dopest beats and killer rhymes that we find in the best of rap, hip-hop, soul, R&B, and funk. If you'd like to submit your song to be played on Norml Show Live, send it to us at stash@norml.org. Now here's some more great independent marijuana music for today's Daily Toker Tune.
All right, again, apologies to John Doe Radio for me not getting the Dropbox set up. We'll fix that so he can bring us some more hip-hop when he is available. But we're going to turn things over to Ganja John for this one, who's our hip-hop impresario and host of the Ganja John Show every Thursday at 8 Pacific. So what do we got going on?
Well, a few people listened to the live Ganja John Show last night that is going to air in its regular time slot here tonight. But I'm going to play another song from Task and Linus that we played. We played a lot of their songs yesterday and during the Ganja John Show. And this is one we haven't heard, which has a tie to Astoria. It has some Goonies samples in it.
Oh, Goonies! So
this is
Never Say Die, man.
This is for Carrie. This is Task and Linus with Chester Copperpot.
I'm taking it back. Taking it all back.
Another year gone by, my ball had the chain lock. All doesn't change when you're stalled in the same spot. When you're on top of the game, you could fall like a raindrop. All in a day, so change all of your safe spots. Vaults better change locks before you find a hole in your wall with your safe pop. I've seen a lot of success turn to upsets. Plus best friends in a second become suspects. So what's next? Who you
gonna try and trust? I adjust daily just to save me from this type of stuff. I try and bluff, but I ain't tough. I'm just moving weight through your state like an iron buff, sizing up. I might have fucked up royally, but my team grabs green with uncut loyalty. My blood's just boiling, we fucking lost a 50 stack. Moke said he'd get me back, but he should be killed for that. But it's all in the game, right? I'd offer you a weapon, but we're all in the same fight. Late night, they be calling my name like hoes in my front row, sprawled in my stage light. And these days, everybody grows kush. Even granny ditched the pansies and replaced the rose bush. Oh, plus, I don't know if you have noticed, everybody's rolling west, it's a modern gold rush. I'm starting to think that I'll starve in the streets, cause it's hard to compete when everybody already eats. I got knocked from my feet, but already paid the debt back. Time to get some end stack, offered all my friends packs. Sorta funny how this game tends to fluctuate. So much green on this scene, man, I'm gonna suffocate. Other days they be dry, that's when I run the lake. Fucking great one day, next day up in state. Bench trial delay, schedule for another day. Brothers hate, jealousy, others make enemies. Psycho for a cellmate, what a great memory. Subsequently getting cut the fake friends of me. And now I tend to see the game in a different light, taking every precaution I can, cause this shit's my life. I'm gonna work, even with the kid and wife. My bitch will slice any intruder with the kitchen knife. So get it right, I'm in it for the long haul. Doing big things but can't win it like Ron Paul. Every night on call, feeling like somebody's bitch. Cause in my town, everybody's rich. We got a money pit, we fill it full of bills and burn it in front of the less fortunate. It's funny shit, not just playing, I've been slaving for this money, man. People think moving weight is easy, anybody can. Till the moment they get caught up in a fucking jam and lose it all to the man with the gun in hand. As for me, I'm wrapping up another grand. Gotta go to Costco, I'm running out of rubber bands.
I'm taking it back. Taking them all back.
Hi, I'm Radical Russ. One of the best things about marijuana is the wonderful aroma. But when you travel a lot like I do, that aroma becomes a suspicious smell. That's why I endorse stealth-products.com, the leaders in smell-proof containers. From smell-proof vacuum bags to smell-proof backpacks and duffel bags, all the way to smell-proof digital safes, stealth-products.com has you covered. Stealth-products.com brings you safe, secure, odorless layers of protection with activated carbon fiber. Backpacks and duffel bags are simple black so as not to attract attention with a logo or flashy design. Now, nothing is perfectly odor controlled from the detection of drug dogs, but with proper vigilance, containers from stealth-products.com will help you avoid nosy humans.
You're now listening to Elliot Beats.
Stealth-products.com. Stealth-products.com.
I said, what did he do? He says, Poppy walks out and he goes, hello, suck this and MF and kiss my big black stuff and suck it and stick it down your mouth and suck it, suck it.
Norml Show live chat is for friends aged 18 and older. And we expect our chat to be civil, mature, and free from excessive profanity. If you don't like these rules, there are approximately 6 billion other chat rooms with lower standards you can visit.
You cannot say filth, flarn, filth in front of people.
As High Times Senior Cultivation Editor, I'm often called into the field and asked to sample or even identify exotic strains of marijuana in their natural habitat. Now, for the first time, I've compiled more than 120 of my favorite strains into this single field guide designed to fit into your pocket as you travel the world in search of your favorite plant. From a friend's closet grow room to the wilds of Northern California, this single guide covers all of today's best-known strains, plus heirlooms and throwbacks, including High Times quality photos and information on each variety's genetic heritage and growing characteristics, plus my personal notes on aroma, flavor, and potency. So this is Danny Danko, author of the official High Times Field Guide to Marijuana Strains, wishing you good times and great ganja.
The official High Times Field Guide to Marijuana Strains is available at hightimes.com and finer bookstores.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Normally at this time, I would be playing this fantastic introduction that I have for the Southern California scene, but I'm redoing all the intros with Dan Michaels' voice, and this is one that I just haven't quite gotten to yet, so we're just going to go straight to the phones, and welcome to our Southern California scene, Terry Joyce, the Hollywood Hemptress. How you doing, Terry?
I'm doing great.
Oh,
Happy New Year.
Yeah, sounds good. Happy New Year to you. How did you celebrate New Year's Eve?
Well, I actually spent New Year's Eve kind of like a dork online.
Yeah.
Like, there's I belong to an organization called the Global Illumination Council, and they were having this big DJ spin, and we were all in this chat line watching videos and kind of bringing it in all over from every, year. And then I had a friend come over around 11 o'clock, and we drank Caucasian.
What? The Caucasians, what is that?
Like from the Big Lebowski.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I was thinking more of the Caucasian and not the drank part, and I was like, what were you doing to Caucasians?
Yeah, I drank I feel like I'm a vampire now. I drank
Also known as a White Russian.
Gotcha, got the White Russian, yeah. Once you said Big Lebowski, I remembered. I just was a little confused there for a second. But the new year, 2012, is upon us. And, of course, down in California, we've got all sorts of initiatives down there, regulate marijuana like wine. We got California Cannabis and Hemp Initiative. And tell us what you've seen down there in Southern California as far as the activism on legalization this year.
Absolutely. First of all, before I go into all that, I just want to let the listeners know that I'm feeling really good right now because I just smoked some Granddaddy Perp.
Oh, very good.
And I just visited Cool Calm Collective, so I'm giving them a shout out on the show as well. Yes, there are a lot of different initiatives in California. There's potentially about 4 that could possibly go on the ballot, including of course, the one that I'm wanting to talk about and care about a lot is the Jack Hare Initiative.
Sure.
For 2012. I believe there's still meetings going on for funding and backing on that. It's funny because Washington has really been on the ball, and they have their signatures all ready to go for legalization. I guess ECP sold in cannabis liquor stores.
Yeah.
So they've been on the ball, but California is all just kind of like where they're being talked about, but there's still the signature gathering and stuff like that. What we do have going on too is, of course, there's a lot of talk about wanting to reschedule marijuana on the drug classification. And, of course, my partner in crime, Dejay Kuti, from the Patient Advocacy Network, and also she is the co-host of Hollywood Hemptress Hour. She has written a point position paper on it. And really, I don't know if she's online yet, but she has definitely has some strong feelings that we really it needs not to be rescheduled, because if we do reschedule it to a class 2 or 3, we're actually going to lose complete control over it. It will go into the hands of the of big pharma.
Right. Well, let's bring Dejay on. Dejay, are you on the line with us?
I am, Russ. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. And this is, of course, something we've talked about before. People talk about, there's been governors now that have been petitioning, Washington's governor, Connecticut, Rhode Island, that are petitioning the federal government to move cannabis down from Schedule 1, which says dangerous drug with no medical value, to Schedule 2, which says dangerous drug with some medical value, like cocaine or methamphetamine or other drugs like that. Explain your position here about how that would be dangerous for us.
Well, it's dangerous because the moment you move it anywhere, the fact of the matter is it's still a controlled substance, and the DEA still oversees that. Once cannabis moves from Schedule 1 to a 2 through 5, then the Food and Drug Administration gets involved, and that would mean that every cultivator and every dispensary would need a permit, not only from the Attorney General of the United States, but they would have to jump through all of the Food and Drug Administration's hoops. Mm-hmm. And at this point, the only entities in this country that hold any type of licensure for 2 through 5 are pharmaceutical companies and universities. Mm-hmm. So I think, unfortunately, and from meeting with different congressional members as well as having phone calls with states' attorneys generals, what I've learned is that they know actually very little about the Controlled Substances Act at all, and are saying something that I think to them sounds politically popular, but when you actually read the code, what you realize is that the penalties under Schedule 3 are higher than what Schedule 1 allows for marijuana now. And all of that is outlined and highlighted in the position paper. We basically are just taking out chunks of law for people to read side by side. And what we found is, of course, in looking for solutions, that it would appear that the appropriate place for cannabis to be regulated would be under the ATF codes, Part 24 and 25, where the alcohol part of the ATF oversees breweries and brew pubs and wineries and wine houses. And very, very easily and quite simply, we could regulate cannabis cultivation and cannabis dispensation, whether it was for recreational or medicinal use, looking at this model, because under these parts of the ATF code, you have to have tested your product to know what the alcohol content is. There are laws about labeling. There's laws about storage. There's laws about transportation, analysis, advertising, all the kinds of things that we see local governments grappling with how to regulate marijuana in their own communities is already being addressed by Parts 24 and 25 of the ATF code, and it looks as though that would be a much more a safer route for patients. It would get the DEA and the FDA out of this. We would be able to regulate it more like an herb or something similar to hops or wine grapes. And that is the direction that we are attempting to educate governors and congressional members so that they can have the right tools in front of them. Because right now, when I ask them, well, why rescheduling and why do you think that will, create state-federal harmony, they can't give us an answer other than, well, that's what we heard would work. So,
I'm glad you're bringing this up, because this is something I've been making in my arguments about medical marijuana, to say if we keep fighting for just medical marijuana, we're going to get marijuana that's just medical. And you describe this Schedule 2, Schedule 3 landscape, in any scheduling landscape, of being far more regulatory over cannabis than it needs to be or should be, even to the detriment of the patients who are ironically getting it now better under Schedule 1 than they might get it under Schedule 2. So in that vein, I'm also glad you bring up alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, ATF, for those that may not know. ATFC would be fine with me, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and cannabis, to come up with some sort of regulation that addresses this, that deals with marijuana for being as safe as it is, yet a concern for, its mind-altering effects, or concern for parents, or concern of impaired drivers, or whatever. And like you say, the alcohol model already shows how we can regulate that, and the tobacco model already shows how we can educate and keep kids away from it. So why not do what already works?
Right, and like I said, and I'll tell you, in alcohol, they even break that down between beer and wine and the much stronger distilled spirits.
Sure. And in our case, we could break that down from, swagweed to kind bud to concentrates. So there can be different levels as well.
Right, exactly. And that's why I think, the Part 24 and 25 of the ATF code work so well, because, like I said, because it requires testing and analysis. So, because, you have to know the strength of the beer and wine that is coming from these different manufacturing entities. And the same thing. So, somebody who's claiming to provide high-grade cannabis that, for cancer patients, can argue that that's exactly what it is, compared to some place that might be selling, like you said, something swag, something that's much more low-grade, that, is more off the shelf. Show your card, you're 18 years old, you can buy a small pack of very low-grade cigarettes, as opposed to the clinic that has its own model that's, selling the much higher grade strains that are more specific toward medical ailments. Sure. I mean, there's no reason why we can't have it all. And in addition, the whole industrial hemp as well. I mean, that's a whole other, project that I don't even know that needs to be regulated.
Any more than wheat or soybeans or alfalfa.
Right, exactly. Because there's not enough of a content in there. It really should be handled by the Department of Agriculture.
Right. We're speaking with DJ Kuti from the Patients Advocacy Network on the Southern California scene with Terry Joyce. And Terry, I'd love to turn it over to you if you've got some topics you want to address with DJ.
Well, DJ on Hollywood Headless Hour, she's been kind of keeping us up to date on, not only what's happening with rescheduling, but also some of the things. The state of California, we're definitely in flux here. And, for instance, we have Jose Huizar, one of our city councilmen, who is working on, again, shutting down the dispensaries. And then we have, Kamala Harris actually going out there and revising the state guidelines. And, DJ, also, what can you say about fill that piece of information in better than what I just stated?
Well, sure. I mean, what was kind of exciting is in November, we finished up our signature gathering drive. During that 45-day deadline that the U.S. attorneys gave California back in October, we decided through talking with patients, how would you like to handle this? Let's start a petition for the governor and let him know, as governor, he should not let the federal authorities stand on his lawn and trample all over his authority and our state's laws, and he should step up and say something. So we put together a petition, and we delivered it on December 1st to the governor's office, right when they got back from the Thanksgiving break. That was right after that 45-day deadline. And that's when we had an opportunity to meet with staff in Kamala Harris's office, as well as some other state senators and state assembly members, and kind of find out where they were going with this. The thing that I kept, telling them every time I popped their head in their office is, well, these dispensaries sure pay a lot of taxes here in California for us to not hear anything from you. And what we did learn while we were there is that Kamala Harris and other legislators are looking at attempting to strengthen California's state law. Proposition 215 is a very vague measure written intentionally that way to get passed. And Kamala Harris has recently issued a couple memos, one directly to the Speaker of the Assembly and the Pres Pro Tem of the Senate, and a copy to the rest of the legislature, basically telling him that she's writing because she's identified some unsettling questions of law and policy. She says she's troubled by the exploitation of California's medical marijuana laws by gangs and other criminal enterprises. And so she's asking them to look at things such as this definition of what it is to cooperatively or collectively cultivate, defining dispensaries, looking at what nonprofit operation should be like. Also, she's concerned
I don't know.
about edibles.
Do you think this might be too soon? I mean, you've only had medical marijuana for 15 years now.
Yeah. I hear you, and I think what it is after the U.S. attorneys threatened California, we were the only state. I mean, we're 16 states with medical marijuana laws, and California was the only one that was threatened with asset forfeiture and going after the landlords, and all the dispensaries are illegal and they all have to shut down in 45 days. And I can tell by the language in these memos that Kamala must have had some type of conversation with somebody in the federal government and said, why are you coming down so hard on California? And I think it is because our laws are so incredibly vague, and because, like you said, it's taken the better part of 15 years for anyone in Sacramento to wake up to this, because the feds are saying, hey, your law is vague, you're not enforcing the law, and the feds, our state officials are going, well, what aren't we enforcing? And they're like, well, you don't have a law to enforce. And so I think they feel like they've got to get something much stronger on the books so they can go na-na-na-boo-boo to the feds. I mean, that's what it looks like right now. So the interesting, two of the things that are going to be tricky about this is, one, we've got that PAC case that's in the process of being appealed, PACK versus the California Superior Court. That, in that ruling, in the initial ruling, the judge said that localities can be in jeopardy of overreaching when they regulate and possibly be in violation of the Controlled Substances Act. So Kamala Harris kind of points to that. And then, of course, she points to the fact that Prop 215 is a voter initiative, And legally, the only thing that can amend or provide definition to a voter initiative is another voter initiative. So she kind of gives them these really narrow parameters that the legislature can work in to try to provide some definition without stepping on the toes, because if anything that anyone has been able to see in the state of California, especially Southern California, people don't have a problem suing when the law is, corrupt or unjust or unconstitutional. So it will be really tricky for the California state legislature to try to strengthen 215 without stepping on the toes of the voters.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation down there, and we're glad you guys are on top of it. And tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Pacific, we've got the Hollywood Hemptress Hour with both of you. So I assume you'll be going into more detail on some of these topics?
Yes. Sure, and having fun doing it.
Yes.
That sounds good. We want to thank the folks at NewDissonantRadio.com, too, for having your show replayed here on the Norml Network. We appreciate that. Terry, we will be down in Los Angeles for the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup, February 11th and 12th. So will we see you there as well?
Oh, I will be there for sure. I'm not going to miss that event.
All right.
And it'd be great to see you again.
Oh, we're bringing the whole crew. Ganja John, Wiz Khalifa, Cannabis Carrie will all be down there.
Oh, I can't wait.
All right. Well, we got to call it a day for this segment of the Southern California scene with Terry Joyce. Check out Hollywood Hemptress Hour tonight at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. And DJ and Terry, thanks so much for joining us again here on Norml Show Live.
Thank you.
Russ, thank you.
All right. When we come back, we're going to do a little radical ranting deconstruction of one of these idiot prohibitionary sites. We'll be right back. Right after this, after I fix the Liebermator. What the hell? Let's try this one. No. Okay, we're having some problems. This is going to be good.
Not Ganja John.
Not Ganja John this time. This is definitely me. What the hell is going on? Play that one. Thank you. Be right back after this.
Do you really want to legalize marijuana? Prove it. Join Norml today at norml.org, and your donation will help us spread the growing truth about cannabis. Free speech ain't free, you know.
Free the ganja tree, it's the healing of the nation. Free the Cali weed, good for meditation. Free the pot smokers, they renounce the lies. Lighting up the chalice, they keep no malice. Free the marijuana, come on, say. Free the marijuana, hear me, say. Free the marijuana, come on, say. Free the marijuana.
Yo, what's up? This is Miles from Slightly Stupid. You're listening to Norml Show Live.
Ever wonder how often to change your bong water? The most effective method for baking pot brownies? The best destinations for a ganja getaway? How to hide herb in your car? Whether to grow your own? How precisely to legalize it? Or how something as wonderful as marijuana ever got to be illegal in the first place? Finally, you can find all these answers and much more in the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook, featuring 420 things to do when you're stoned. Since 1974, High Times Magazine has covered marijuana in all its aspects and wonders, from cultivation to legalization to the herb's enduring and exalted place in popular culture. Packed with inside information, the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook rolls all of this collected wisdom together into a single indispensable ganja guide, including an entertaining look at marijuana's history, profiles of herb-friendly travel destinations and festivals, favorite potluck recipes from the High Times staff, smoking skills, advocacy and activism, essential marijuana movies and songs, profiles of famous cannabis strains, comprehensive growing information, celebrity endorsements, and much more. This is truly, finally, the ultimate guide to green living.
We pulled up today in the van, and I walked out of the building, walked through the big building over, and I walked outside, and I'm walking over by the lake, and I just see everybody casually smoking weed like it's all right. Like it's supposed to be like that. Because it is all right. Like you ain't got to worry about no police coming and asking you what you smoking or what are you doing here or let me see your driver's license. See, that's how they do it in Amsterdam. Everybody just out there chilling. Ain't nobody stressing. You go buy your weed at the shop. You go kick it, smoke your weed, walk the street, do whatever you want to, and you don't even get messed with.
You want answers? I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended the Shaolin Temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Hoorah!
Radical rant.
All right, folks, for today's Radical Rant, we're going to have a little bit of fun because Paul Montano forwarded to me a link to a website that just deserved a little bit of deconstruction. Let me get this up on the screen here. It's called thoughtful-living.org. And if you're looking at the crawl here right below me, where I've got this thoughtful living with the G capitalized there, that's not a typo. That's on purpose. That's the way they've got it in their logo. I don't know what the capital G is for. Maybe God, or I don't know. But there we go. Thoughtful-living.org, thoughtful-living.org. And it's hilarious. I've actually put I went to their contact form and I asked them for an interview. We'll see if we can get them on the show for an interview. But I got to give you some of the gems that are out here at thoughtful-living.org. First of all, they have a slide up, and this cracks me up. They got one of these, kind of like the Norml site does now, where there's a slideshow of these 5 different slides that go back and forth for your major stories. And the second slide they have here is a story called The Magic Wand of Medical Marijuana. And what I like about it is the graphic they're using, the caduceus leaf graphic, is the one designed by my friend Dave Bram from Oregon Norml. They just went and typed the old Oregon Norml caduceus logo there for their The Magic Wand of Medical Marijuana article. Let me give you some of the stuff here. Oh, by the way, and this site, this is really interesting too. They're 2 big issues. They got a bar up at the top, and their 2 big issues are marijuana legalization and veganism. Because we got to fight both, right? They're both these terrible. They got T-shirts. They have T-shirts. There's one T-shirt here they're selling. Pretends not to be addictive for pot, right? Pretends not to be addictive. And then another T-shirt that says, very good effort working against human nature for vegan, right? They're trying to spell some letter. What did the vegans do? They wouldn't hurt a fly. Literally. What did the vegans do? But anyway, let me get to this magic wand of medical marijuana. Let me read a little bit from it. This is posted by Thoughtfulness. A magic wand has been waved, and the legislatures of 16 states and the District of Columbia have passed laws to allow medical marijuana. What? Hold on. Slow your roll. 16 states, the legislatures of 16 states and D.C. have passed laws. No, that's not the way it worked. No. There were a number of legislatures, I think it's 9, and now I think it's 10 of the legislatures that passed medical marijuana. The other 6 were citizen initiatives. In other words, the people passed these initiatives. And what's the magic wand? What is this, Harry Pothead going on here? Some Harry Pothead comes into the legislature and waves the magic wand, and for fear of Dumbledore or some crap, they pass medical marijuana. No, this is because it's a popular public issue. That's why it gets passed, and because people are smart enough to realize you don't let sick people, dying people, severely disabled people suffer when there's a plant you could give them to help them out. All right, let me go back to Thoughtfulness. If the make-believe world of pot magic gets its way, its advocates will make others believe there are no other remedies for certain illnesses. The end result may be that people are convinced marijuana is only therapeutic and has no harmful side effects. Some advocates are using medical marijuana as a backdoor excuse to full legalization. Well, that part might be true. For some people, it might be. But I love this. Let's go on here. He says, fortunately, New Jersey is taking steps to make sure that medical marijuana, when available, will only go to chronically sick patients. I like that. When available. Like there might be, a shortage of marijuana available for sick people. But considering how New Jersey wants to do it, they might be onto something there. New Jersey is going to only have 6 dispensaries. 6, right, in a state of, 17 million people in New Jersey? Something like that? A lot of people in New Jersey. 935 people per square mile, the most densely packed state, for those of you keeping track in Trivia Land. But New Jersey, this state's going to have 2 dispensaries in the north, 2 dispensaries in the central, 2 dispensaries in the south. The governor wanted to come up with rules where they could only grow 3 strains. Statewide! 3 strains of pot. Okay, we'll grow a indica, a sativa, and a hybrid. You're done, that's it. 3 strains, and not general like that. You'd have to pick one of each, and those would be the official state strains that would be allowed to be grown in New Jersey. And then those state strains would have to be less than 10% THC, because God knows we don't want patients getting effective medicine. We don't want patients getting medicine of decent potency that can actually help them in some way. That's what this thoughtful-living.org thinks is the fortunate way to go through medical marijuana. Fortunately, we'll keep it away from the potheads by doing this. Now, let me continue. In reality, the active ingredient cannabis, THC, available for both HIV, AIDS, and cancer patients in pill forms, can be used to alleviate the symptoms of nausea and vomiting. How can a person write that sentence, pill form, to alleviate nausea and vomiting, without even talking about the disease that's the issue, not even talking about the treatment, the marijuana itself? Pill versus vomiting. Pill versus vomiting. How does this not trip some sort of internal cognitive circuit in the average brain of someone with better than a third grade education, that swallowing a pill to cure vomiting might be difficult to pull off? It's just amazing to me that they can even still write that. Of course, he's trying to back up Marinol, the synthetic THC, which is 100% potent synthetic THC suspended in a sesame oil capsule, which, as long as it's got the barcode on it, it's Schedule 3, right? It's safer than the plant that just grows naturally that might be 20%, 30% if you're a great grower THC. More likely average around 10, 8%, right? That's incredibly dangerous. 100% in a capsule with a barcode, not so bad. Your doctor can give you that. He goes on in this ridiculous article to say something about glaucoma. Advocates of medical marijuana cite evidence that hemp products can lower intraocular pressure in people with glaucoma. And then a couple quotes from Glaucoma Research Foundation and American Glaucoma Society. Old quotes. I will just quote the people I've known with glaucoma. Elvie Musica, who is getting federal medical marijuana here in the state of Oregon, was told she would lose her sight about 15 years ago. She can still see. Not great, but she can still see. The late Bobby B., a friend of ours, was a medical marijuana patient using it for his intraocular pressure. It's the only thing that kept him with some sort of sight. And our own Ganja John over here has his own recollection of his medical situation where the use of marijuana certainly at least prolonged the sight.
Prolonged the life of my left eye.
Yeah, prolonged one of the eyes there. So this is evidence is here. We don't need to have FDA try to tell us whether or not this is safe for people to use. We know the people who've been using it. We know the people who have been getting the relief from it. Now, he continues on to talk about Sativex and some other stuff, but I want to go to another one of their issues here. One of the points that they tried to make here about pot. The Great Pretender is the, oh yes, it's the Great Pretender. Sure. The quote starts off here. I wish I had not been told that pot wasn't addictive when I started, said a 50-year-old man in outpatient addiction treatment for marijuana. I wasted so many years, and it kept me from getting my life together, he continued. The legalization of pot in the United States should be stamped out and go no further because its partisans have always claimed and promoted that marijuana is not addictive, a clear and simple lie. No, we have not said marijuana is not addictive. We said it's got the lowest addiction potential of any of the substances people are using out there, but anything can have an addiction potential. Caffeine has an addiction potential. Sugar has an addiction potential. People gamble too much. People have risky sex. I mean, there's all sorts of things people do that are technically addictive. But of all of the products out there you could possibly use, marijuana least dependent. And the addiction, when you get it, isn't such a terrible, terrible thing. It's not like you're going to go through withdrawals and death, delirium tremens, all the terrible things that can happen when you're trying to kick nicotine or heroin or alcohol, where you can die trying to kick it cold turkey. There's plenty more on this stuff. We'll save it for Hour 2 in Toker Talk Radio. We'll also take your calls at 971-533-7111. We're just going to rip on some of these ignorant prohibitionists, have a little bit of fun, and hang out with Ganja John, a Wiz Khalifa, and other guests in the studio, plus Cannabis Carry online as well. Thanks for joining us here at Norml Show Live on the Norml Network. Stay tuned 24/7, 365. It's always 420 here. There's always something on the Norml Network. Plus, we're adding new video shows. We're going to have videos from Paul Token and Token Daily, Coral Reefer, and Jody Emery. So stay tuned for that coming up next week in the afternoon lineups. For Wiz Khalifa and Ganja John and Cannabis Carry, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
We love the earth. This is Norml Show Live. the voice of the marijuana nation.
Take it on one more time. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth.